crossed the Gulf of Finland from Tallinn, we docked in Helsinki, capital of Finland, our 67th country. Holland America arranged a shuttle bus to travel the 3 kilometers into the city. And we could easily take transit from there. It was a beautiful, crisp September day, and some of the city parks were showing fall colors. Most Helsinki buildings are neoclassical. With some Art Deco architecture, most notably the 1919 Central Rail Station. Which is beautiful for an Art Deco station, but after the medieval majesty of Tallinn the day before, Helsinki was a bit of a letdown. One unique Helsinki structure was built in the 1960s out of the bedrock of the Turlur neighborhood. The Church of the Rock is one of the city's top tourist attractions, and there's an €8 entry fee, so only Avic went inside. The next morning, we entered a fog-covered channel through the Stockholm archipelago, a cluster of 24,000 sparsely inhabited islands that are a popular weekend and holiday destination for residents of Stockholm, our next port of call and capital of our 68th country, Sweden. The city itself crosses 14 islands, and we docked on one of the largest near the city center. A hop-on, hop-off bus stopped near us, as did a hop-on, hop-off boat. The boat sounded a lot more interesting, so that's what we opted for. Our ship was staying overnight in Stockholm, and the hop-on, hop-off ticket was good for 24 hours, perfect for coming and going while we were there. Bridges connect some of the city's islands with each other and the Swedish mainland. There's also a public network of ferry routes. And of course, our hop-on, hop-off stations. Moving around Stockholm always felt magical. The oldest part of the city is the island of Stadshelmen, home of Swedish royalty since the 13th century. On the mainland across from Stadshelmen, the King's City Garden was a beautiful public park with flowers, trees, and water features. The perfect spot for a picnic lunch. On the far side of the garden, the tram system connects to the rest of Stockholm. The Djurgården, once the Royal Game Reserve, is now a public park and home to most of Stockholm's museums, including the Skansen Open Air Museum that I visited on a 2008 work trip. The museum we wanted to see this time was the Vasa Museum. Built between 1626 and 1628 on the orders of King Gustavus Adolphus, the Vasa was supposed to be the most powerful warship in the Swedish Navy. On August 10, 1628, The Wasa sailed on its maiden voyage, but its cannon and ornaments made it so top-heavy that it sank in a strong wind before leaving the waters of Stockholm, landing 100 feet down where it stayed for 300 years, until it was raised in 1962. Overall, Stockholm was our favorite city of the cruise. Afterward, we had another Baltic Sea day, so I checked out the onboard art auction run by Park West Gallery, which seems to be on every cruise ship.
$4.8 million going twice. Third time fair and final. Folks, let's give this book card an absolute at only $31,000.
I didn't buy anything, but it was an interesting experience, which I won't repeat, and the free champagne wasn't bad. Located on the Kiel fjord, Kiel is Germany's largest Baltic city. The fjord is one terminus of the Kiel Canal, the world's busiest artificial waterway. Like Rostock and Tallinn, Kiel got wealthy during the late Middle Ages in the Hanseatic League, becoming a key shipbuilding center in the past 200 years. What's now the German Naval Yards was founded in 1838, and across from the Naval Yards, the former fish market is now the Kiel Maritime Museum. The Central Railway Station is one of the oldest in Germany, and many of our fellow passengers went into Hamburg for the day, but we stuck around to have a look around Kiel. Just outside the cruise terminal, Kiel's fall colors were beautifully on display. And the city's original 19th century botanical garden was only a 10-minute walk. Not the most impressive garden we've ever seen, but it was still a wonderful stroll through nature. Like every good German city, Kiel has beer gardens and city parks. The tower of the 1911 City Hall was modeled on a Venetian design. And its observation deck is the best view in the city. Modern Kiel sits adjacent to the old city with St. Nikolai Church dating from the early days of the Hanseatic League. One street approaching Old Town has rather bizarre bollards along the sidewalk. The church was destroyed in World War II and rebuilt. It was hosting an Anne Frank display the day of our visit. We sailed away at sunset and continued to the final port of call of this magnificent cruise. We had taken the long way around to Copenhagen because there was a row of windmills. And the Øresund Bridge connecting Denmark to Sweden blocking the other way. The cruise pier was on the city outskirts, about 6 miles from central Copenhagen. So Holland America had arranged for a special hop-on, hop-off bus service with a very clear last stop and time for the return. Founded 11 centuries ago as a Viking fishing village, Copenhagen has been Denmark's capital for 6 centuries. We hopped off the bus in the Park Museum district an area with 6 museums and 4 parks. The 17th century King's Garden was once the private grounds of the Kings of Denmark summer country house at Rosenborg Castle. The castle is now a museum featuring 17th to 19th century royal accoutrements, including some of the Danish crown jewels. We can confirm that there are indeed Great Danes in Denmark. But size isn't everything, as this pottery shop Barker can attest. The Copenhagen City Hall was completed in 1905, designed by a Danish architect. If you like history and clock towers, this is a great guided tour for under $13 US. The story of the design is very interesting, and the 3 towers of the Copenhagen coat of arms are throughout the hall, down to keys carried by the official guides. The final climb up the clock tower ends in the observation deck, more than 300 feet up. But the room below is unique among towers that we visited. The mechanical clockworks are on full display, powered by the same electrical circuits, the same brass gears for the past 120 years. You can see exactly how everything keeps running like, well, clockwork. Impressed with Dutch cities like Amsterdam, King Christian IV developed Copenhagen's canals in the early 17th century for transport and flood control. A later section of canal called Nijhaven has become a popular tourist spot with its colorful cafes and restaurants. So popular that all I could stand to do was watch the crowds from a distance. The former Kastellet Fortress, another of Christian IV's 17th century projects, is now a city park. The nearby 1908 fountain shows Norse goddess Gefgen raising the land where Copenhagen now sits from the ocean with her oxen and plow. Our final stop was the iconic Little Mermaid statue, based on the 1837 fairy tale by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. Since its unveiling in 1913, this 4-foot-tall statue has become the most widely known and widely sold symbol of Copenhagen, and the city's most popular landmark by far. After catching the bus back to the ship, we sailed away with the sun setting over Hamlet's castle, bidding farewell to Scandinavia and an incredible cruise. Back at Rotterdam, we spent 2 rainy, uneventful days in Germany, then flew on to an amazing month in Tuscany, Italy.